On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a win in Game 2 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They get some Luka magic. They get some other magic. But how did they pull it all together? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and the channel manager for Locked On Podcast Network, where we let it ride. That's right. Game 2 win, you get to let it ride. Let it ride after a win. Enjoy it. You never know how many more of these there are going to be.
Yeah, there's only going to be about 11.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it does. Do the math.
Math. I'm mathing here at the Paycom Center. I can only pay. I can't do math. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. With the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform, like the video on YouTube, comment anything below, and then go to Locked On Thunder. Go to Locked On Thunder, my boy Rylan Styles, and comment Luka sucks ? Luka sucks? Go comment that on Locked On Thunder's YouTube channel.
What if we're going to get that many Thunder fans in the comments again tonight?
Oh, after Game 1, they were swarming. I was like, is this all of you? This is all of the Thunder fans in this comment section. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Joining me, as always, on a post game here for the vibes. What you got for me? Slightly biased.
Gutsy. I mean, what a gutsy win.
Absolutely.
On the road. A must-win, biggest game of the season up until this point.
Wow.
And the performances that you got, top to bottom, from your role players, man. Wow. Incredible.
Some absolute shocking developments from the Dallas Mavericks. Let's play the 30 for 30 game. What if I told you that in a game where Kyrie Irving would score 9 points, 7 points before intentional fouls were starting to be called. Kyrie Irving scores 7 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. closes the game, and I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
And you get a fine game from SGA. Like, what if the Mavericks win that game? Like, you just would not have thought the Mavericks would win that game, but they absolutely win the game. They find ways. They hit a bunch of threes. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Kyrie and his contributions to the game. He didn't score. You won't see it in the box score, but his contributions for sure. We'll talk about PJ Washington. We'll talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. doing things that we haven't seen from him in, I don't know, months, years? I don't know, from Tim. And then we got to start here slightly. We got to start with Luka Doncic, who at times in this game looked like he was really struggling to shoot. Looked like he was really dealing with the injuries. There was a moment in the fourth quarter where him and Casey Wallace kind of get tied up. He falls down. He's holding that left ankle. It's been the right knee that he's been dealing with, but he's had some left leg issues too. He's got that issue, and he's like down, and I literally held my breath. Like, the breath got taken out of me, and I fell for a Luka boo-boo because what does he do just one possession later? He hits a step-back three right in the Thunder's face.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely explodes, and you look at what he did in this game, and it has to give you hope, right? Because you looked at what Luka was in Game 1, and you saw probably the worst playoff performance of his career, and he hasn't shot the ball well, never shot the ball from three well in the Clippers series. This game goes 5 of 8, hits a bunch of them early, feels real confident, 29 points, 10 boards, 7 assists. Only 1 turnover for Luka, which was massive, too. That was one of my big keys. The Mavs can't have one of these casual starts where they turn the ball over a bunch. And so they get a good Luka game finally. And, man, it gives you some hope that Luka, knee hurting, knee sprain or not, he can give you one of those games.
Yeah. I mean, it's all been about the three-point shooting, really. And him just finding his shot despite the knee injury that he's had and him having to figure out on the fly, basically, how do I adjust to maybe having 60% of the lower body power that I'm used to having? Like, how can I adjust my shot to make it go in?
There's SGA right here.
Shay,
Look at this.
I was
look at the
once a
suit.
huge.
Look,
I was once a huge fan.
look at the suit game.
There he goes. Wow.
That suit would fit him.
And see, this is, folks, this is good. This is why it's good that I'm not there, because I don't know what would have happened.
If you're watching on YouTube, SGA just walked by in the background, and he's wearing a suit that if he gained 500 pounds, it wouldn't fit him.
Hey, man. Look, Shay's got some type of drip.
He does. He's got an aura around him. But he did not have it in this game because Luka got the best of him in this one, and the Mavs get the win. And like you were saying, Luka, he had a game that we go, oh, this is what playoff Luka, this is the kind of playoff Luka that we've been waiting for, that we've hoped that would show up and that we absolutely did not get in game one. And he was hitting shots, and he hit a bunch of threes, and, man, he only went to the line one time. 2 free throws for Luka.
Yeah. He hit that fadeaway there in the fourth quarter over Lou Dort, and then he's screaming at the bench on his way down the floor, like the Mavs bench, like getting him hyped. I don't think that it's a coincidence, really, that Luka has 16 points in the first quarter, and the Mavericks.
This is another interruption of the show. Kane Pittman, former Locked On Bucks. Kane, what did you see from Josh Green? Now you're a big ESPN Australia.
He was outstanding. I just spoke with him, and I thought that every one of his threes came at big moments in the second quarter and in the third quarter. But as for you, Nick Angstadt in the wild, you don't get to see this every day. This is a great moment for me.
You're telling that to the audience who literally sees me every day. Literally.
I do not want them to underestimate what this means on a daily basis.
Wow.
You're a hero, mate.
Beautiful man, Kane Pittman.
You are a hero, mate.
Me too, man. Wow, he smelled amazing.
Hey, man, Josh Green has been comfortably the best Australian in this series.
He has. He really has. I guess, do we not count Kyrie? do we not count
Okay,
Kyrie
that's true. Well, hey, after tonight, maybe Josh Green still is the best Australian. No, I'm just kidding. But wait, I want to go back before
go back before
the Aussie takeover. I want to go back to a point I was making because I thought it was a great point. I thought in my head, and I thought this is such a good point. You need to put this on the podcast. Everyone's
go
crazy
for it.
over this.
Do it.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Luka, 16 points in the first quarter, he's hitting threes, and it's the best just collective role player performance that you get. I don't think that's a coincidence,
right?
Because you see your MVP do that, and it's like, oh, we're like in the building tonight, like we're here, we're ready to go, and I mean, he scored 13 points the rest of the game. He had a stretch from the second quarter through third quarter where he scored maybe 5 points total, but that first quarter set the tone in such a major way for the Mavs.
Your star player feeds into all the role players, right? They feed off of that energy. You saw it from Donovan Mitchell with the Cavs. You saw it in the opposite way with Jason Tatum and the Celtics, right? Like they feed off of what that star player can give you, and you feed off of the energy that guy can give you. And for the anonymous assistant coach report that came out today that was like from the Howard Beck piece in The Ringer that was saying that all of Luka's teammates breathe a sigh of relief when he sits down because that means that they can actually play their game. Like, I'm calling complete BS on that. They sigh of relief because they're not letting him down. They're not letting him down anymore out there because he absolutely spoon feeds them shots, and they feel like you can win any time when Luka is on the court. Right? That is the feeling there, and you know that it's game time when he's going to be out there. You know that he can take over at any moment. You know he can get you any shot. You know that he can get you out of any deficit. They've come down from 30-0. They made a 30-0 run against this Thunder team. They've been down 21 or 31 against the Clippers and came back and took a lead. Like, they can do anything if Luka's on the court and if he is playing well. And so the confidence that he gives them is just you cannot replace that. You can't replace that with anything. Any other player could come in and give similar production or give some kind of production if they had the ball as much, but you can't have as much confidence as what Luka is giving this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's from the game one, I was like legitimately concerned, right? Like the following that game, it was the worst he's looked physically. It just was. And, I don't think he looked great physically tonight either, but it's just we are waiting for this one game. Just give us one big 3-point shooting barrage. Like with the volume of threes he has, he's just going to fall backwards into one. You know what I mean? Like it's just statistically
the step back.
Yeah, like he's just going to have a game where he sees it go. And yeah, it's just crazy. The Mavericks are here in the second round. They've just tied the series against the 1 seed. And Luka just hasn't been Luka yet in this postseason. Like he just hasn't been. And it's just like the Luka that we are accustomed to seeing, where he's literally the second best playoff scorer in the history of the sport. And
right.
It just
he
speaks.
only scored 29 points. We're talking about like, oh, Luka's back. Like we didn't even see like a vintage Luka playoff game.
That meme, Luka's averages would go down. Literally, his averages went down after tonight.
His playoff average did go down this game again.
So, I mean, people need to understand that we're talking about Luka this postseason. We're comparing him to the Luka who is genuinely one of the greatest playoff performers in the history of the NBA from what we've seen so far. And he's obviously hurt and compromised. Like nobody with a set of eyes would tell you otherwise. But it's just, if he finds his 3-point shot, then everything is just different. Everything is just different. It's a testament to this team that they are where they're at now with home court advantage in the second round against the 1 seed, despite, Luka's inefficiency so far this postseason. And he was really good early on for the Mavs tonight.
There goes J-Dub behind me, by the way. Let's talk about how the Mavs actually got this win, because there are some things that changed, and there's some things in the first half and in the second half that I thought were different that we need to point out for this Mavericks team. So let's talk about how the Mavs got this win coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Quiiiz. Quiiiz is daily fantasy made easy. You can go to Quiiiz right now, and all you have to do is pick 2 to 6 players and pick more or less on the projections of their stats. You're not playing against a guy in his basement that all he does is run algorithms and spreadsheets about all these players, knows everything about them. I once worked for somebody in a restaurant that had this sheet that said when any tracked when a player's wife or girlfriend was going to have a baby, because then he would pick them that next day after that, and that was a really winning formula for him. You're not playing against that guy. You're playing against the projections. So go and check it out on Quiiiz. Right now they have Anthony Edwards, 28 points for against Denver on Friday. Pick more on that one. Naz Reid, 12.5. You can only pick more on that one. I'll go more on Naz Reid. And then Karl Anthony Towns, 20 points. Give me less on Karl Towns in that one. Put down $20. You can win 150. If I decide to put down, let's just put down $5. I can win $37.50. $37.50 on that one if I want to do that on Quiiiz. So go check it out. There's all kinds of fun things too with the demons at the Goblin time with different multipliers. You can win up to 100 times your money. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Also brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered when you need parts for your car. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is what keeps your ride or die car, truck, SUV alive. They have everything: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts to choose from your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your car, or you can send it back. You get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply at ebaymotors.com. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and listening to us. We are a 5-day-a-week Dallas Mavericks podcast that continues probably 7-8 days a week. In the playoffs, we'll do every single postgame as well. Slightly has been here with me throughout this entire season. And now we're talking about this Mavs win. The Mavs win 119 to 110 against the Thunder. And I thought one of the things that really helped the Mavericks win this game, obviously 18 of 37 from 3. We can't go any farther without talking about the magnets that were at play in this game. I need to tell you that the Mavs in the first half shot incredibly well. They shot 12 of 24 from 3 in the first half, right? At halftime, in a timeout, there was a guy that took a shot at half court for $20,000. He was taking it on the Mavericks rim, and it went in. And I just have to say, they're not. That is not breaking the magnets curse right there. That is not like making me think that there are magnets any less on that rim.
Hey man, people really do believe this theory. It's not some out of left field theory. There's some people who believe that this theory is a real thing.
But the Mavs did shoot really well in this game, and they were in these playoffs. They were kind of due for one of these games where just a bunch of threes go down. They've got good 3-point shooters. They don't have great 3-point shooters necessarily anymore. Luka has been, but he hadn't been so far in the playoffs. Kyrie is obviously a great 3-point shooter, but Tim Hardaway hadn't been that good. Obviously, Exum's been missing a bunch. But P.J. Washington, man, I think the confidence that P.J. Washington had taking those threes is just showing the type of player that he's becoming, and showing the confidence that we talked about that Luka gives you earlier. Luka gives you that confidence to step up in your role and do exactly what's being asked of you. And PJ is just growing and growing and growing in that. And seeing him go 7 of 11, get the slushies. 7 of 11 for PJ Washington from 3. Absolutely insane. One of like those playoff performances you look back on and go, man, remember when Maxey hit like 7 threes against the Jazz? Like, oh, remember when PJ Washington hit 7 threes against the Thunder? The Mavs went on to win that series. Like, can you imagine that? Like, that's what we're going to look back on is games like this.
I like that. I like that confidence right there. That you snuck that one in there. But no, if you like this was your first game watching, you would think, oh, it's PJ Washington, like their third option guy who's like
the greatest 3-point shooter.
Yeah, like he's just their go-to third option who's just a dynamite. Like they have a big 3 like that. Because like you said, it was just he caught the ball shot. You know, they went to him early and often posting up. Like that was a clear thing. And I think it's actually a great adjustment because you just know, all right, Dort's going to be on Luka. J-Dub's probably going to be on Kyrie. So there's going to be a size advantage somewhere on the floor for you. And so they were going to PJ on these post-ups early and often. And I think that was one that probably plays into PJ being as confident as he was tonight because they were like, hey, you're going to be a big part for us. Like shoot the ball when you get it. Like you're going to be a huge factor in our win tonight. And you just need guys like that who are not scared. And PJ, sometimes he's just not efficient or whatever. He has never been like, I've never thought he looked scared on the floor ever.
Never.
Ever. Like he's ready for the moment. He's ready to play defense. He's ready to talk trash. He's ready to, shoot whenever he gets the basketball, no matter what his shooting percentages are at that moment. Like, and you need guys like that. Those are absolute must-haves if you're trying to compete for a championship.
The post-up touch is an amazing point. I'd written that down at the beginning of the game. They went to him on the first 2 plays and literally went to him on a post-up where he was posting up, was it SGA, but he was posting up on the right block. And that just changed the geometry of the court. The Mavericks had just been running the same exact thing over and over again where it's Luka or Kyrie at the top. Okay, you get a pick and roll. Okay, you go down the middle of the lane or you go to the right or the left of the lane, and then they help off the corners. And then it's like it was just the same, like in the motions over and over again. It just felt like you were banging your head against the wall. Just change it up a little bit. Like go to PJ on the block and just change the way that the dynamics of the court are, and then all of a sudden they have to help in a different way than OKC is used to. Like defense can get into a rhythm too. The Mavericks defense totally gets in a rhythm at times. We've talked about how this Mavs defense can warm up during games. It's because they get in a rhythm of feeling what this, the Thunder offense or the Clippers offense or whoever they're playing, their offense is. And so it was the same way on the other side where the Thunder defense is very good. They were a top 5 defense in the regular season. And so you just give them a different look. And from the jump, it helped. Could have given PJ confidence, but I don't think PJ needs the confidence, man. He's just he's firing on all cylinders, but he was awesome. Absolutely awesome. We can't continue on talking about confidence without talking about Timothy Dwayne Hardaway Jr. II. Like, I cannot Mavs fans, you listening right now, if you're a Mavs fan, you're probably listening to this. If you're a Thunder fan, just listen up. Tim came from the depths of hell at the end of the season. I mean, he rose from the ashes. If you've seen Harry Potter and you've seen where that phoenix like literally bursts into flames, becomes ashes, and then all of a sudden a little baby phoenix comes out of it, and like it's just such a visceral look at a life cycle. That's what Tim Hardaway's game went through over these last couple of months because he was awful the last couple. Hold on. Oh, He's not anywhere near me. I just want to make sure he's not within here. He was terrible for the last couple of months of the season. And I was wondering if the Mavs were going to be able to play him at all. His defense was bad. He couldn't get a shot. I mean, his shot looks the exact same. He was taken with the same kind of confidence, but he just wasn't that same type of player. And then all of a sudden he comes in, he gets a little mid-range shot, and he gets it to go at first, and then he gets a little lob to Lively. We've seen that a couple times. We've seen him throw a lob to some guys, so that's not something brand new. But then the mid-range shots, he hit a 3. Like, all of a sudden, you just start seeing him go, and then the floodgates just open, and he finally got a Tim Hardaway Jr. game. He has not scored 17 points in, like, over a month, which for him is a lot. I thought it was going to be longer, but it had been over a month since he scored 17 points, and you got it in this game in just wild ways.
He had 8 total points in the playoffs. Now, granted, he missed. I don't remember when he got hurt in the Clippers series, but he missed.
Could have said any number there, and I would have believed you. By the way.
So if you're a Thunder fan listening, because I know a lot of you are in here, that feels bad. I'm just gonna be real. You might, if you haven't been paying attention, you might just be like, "Well, Tim Hardaway Jr. is like a 6th man of the year candidate for most of the year." Like that feels bad getting gamed.
Would be like Gordon Hayward scores like 22 in the next game. We'd be like,
yeah, it would be something like that. It would be something like that. Like that doesn't feel good. But we were saying, we were saying like on the last podcast I was on, at least, we were like, why do they go to Tim? And it's like, well, they want to get him going. Like, it's just clear and obvious.
Yeah,
They,
to
like,
end the
really,
game. Yeah, that's right.
They really want to get him going. And I don't think it's much of an exaggeration. He could have potentially saved the Dallas Mavericks season.
Oh, my God.
Almost single-handedly tonight.
I don't think you're exaggerating at all.
He
I
went
think
on a
that's completely
10-0
fair.
run by himself.
Yes.
In the third quarter where the Thunder took a lead, like, and it was snowballing because Luka had that moment going into halftime where he's bent over, and I thought at the start of the third quarter,
bad.
Luka wasn't even making it past half court on offense. Like, he was just standing at the logo basically offensively, and it was like, oh man, is it like what's happening here? And Kyrie was just, I'm not shooting tonight. Like, I'm just not going to shoot tonight. And so Tim Hardaway Jr. said, give me the basketball. Give me the basketball. We're down 1-0. Our season's on the line. Give me the basketball and get out of the way. And he like almost single-handedly saved the season. I mean, it's crazy what happened.
I think we should have led with this.
Yeah, we probably should have.
Hold on, wait, let me start again. On today's show, Tim Hardaway Jr. saved the Mavs' damn season.
He really did. He really did.
Oh, my God. That's insane. Coming up, Kyrie Irving scores 9 points in the game, 7 points before intentional fouls started being called. What happened? What contributions did he make? And is this just the Kyrie we're going to get in this series? Can the Mavs win with that? We'll talk about that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We got to pause here, talk about Monopoly Go. And I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that. I know. We have talked about it. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. You can team up with friends for timed tournaments and all kinds of stuff like that. Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder is a huge Monopoly Go fan. He's on like level 1,000. He's kicking all of our butts in this game. And you can too. You can kick other people's butts. You can kick your friends' butts. Get unique stickers that you can trade with friends to compete for albums for big prizes. You can do cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. You can use hilarious emojis to taunt your friends and smash their buildings, heist their vaults, all kinds of fun stuff like that. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. So download Monopoly Go. Download it on the Google Play or the App Store. You can do all kinds of fun timed events and mini games, things like that. Massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. Download Monopoly Go on the Google Play or the App Store. Download Monopoly Go today. All right, Slightly. We've talked about how Luka Doncic stepped up, gave the Mavericks some confidence, got his three-point shot back, Stella got her groove back. We talked about how PJ Washington was absolutely amazing. We talked about how Tim Hardaway Jr. was great in this game. We got the Josh Green report from our man Kane Pittman of ESPN Australia. Yep. Do I have to pay him for that appearance, you think, now that he's big time with ESPN?
I'd invoice you.
He's wearing a suit. And now we got to talk about Kyrie because Kyrie just did not look like Kyrie in this game. 2 of 8. I talked about after game 1, there's no way Kyrie takes 14 shots. I was sitting with Joe Trahan of WFA before the game, and I go, there's no way he takes 14 shots. There's no way. And I was absolutely right. He took 8 shots in this game, and he just played a different kind of game. He finished with 11 assists, only 2 turnovers. He had 2 steals and 2 blocks, but that does not even begin to describe the defensive impact that he had in this game. Played 41 minutes, and it wasn't a scoring Kyrie game, but, man, he gave you everything else basically.
Yeah, Kyrie was awesome tonight, like through and through. I think you might look at the 9 points and think otherwise, but 11 assists. And look, Kyrie's just has such a good feel for the game that, everyone else was going. And it just felt like when Kyrie needed to hunt his shot, he did in the very rare moments. His shot just was not falling tonight, 2 of 8. You're just not going to see an inefficient Kyrie like that usually ever. But, defensively, he was incredible tonight. I mean, him stepping up and guarding Harden in that Clipper series and stepping up and on switches against Shea and just what I love about it is Kyrie's not scared if he fouls Shea. If they call, and that's one thing I want to give this Mavs defense a ton of credit for, where it's like, because I saw people who were I was like watching this game on my stream and people were like, oh, the Mavs are scared to foul, like they're not playing physically. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think they are playing physically. Like they're not afraid if they call this whistle. Like they're still playing physically. And Kyrie is exactly like that, where he's going to get up in Shea's grill and contest the shot. And if they call it a foul, they call it a foul. But it's not going to be an easy, mid-range jumper. So I thought Kyrie was. And how many of those little Dirk blocks did Kyrie get tonight?
I know. That's what I'm talking about. His hands, where he doesn't get a steal, but he gets a deflection. There was a Jalen Williams one that went out of bounds. Yep. And, I just thought he had a great impact. And it's the way that the Thunder are guarding. They're helping off of the corners, and they're coming in and like stopping the ball handlers. And they're trying to stop these drives and trying to stop these little mid-range. It's kind of the opposite of what the Mavericks are doing on the other side. But it's Kyrie's just passing the open guy, and he found PJ a bunch. He found Josh a couple times. Like, he found these guys for these open shots, and he just read the defense the right way. And yeah, if the Mavs lose this game, I mean, we're talking about how Kyrie wasn't aggressive enough, but he gave them what they needed, and he gave them a ton of stuff. And even though he only scored 9 points, he helped in other ways. And I'll go back to when the Mavericks first got Kyrie. I did not expect to have games like this where you'd go, oh, he didn't score, but he impacted the game in so many other ways. Like, his game is much more vast and impactful than I had thought that it was when the Mavs first traded for him. And so, like, hats off to him. He was absolutely awesome. I think another thing that needs to be said is that the Mavericks only turned the ball over, 10 times in this game? 10 times as a team. And that was down from game 1, and there was much less transition opportunities for the Thunder, only 11 points off turnovers for the Thunder, only 16 fast break points, and their offense kind of looked like slow, and they looked like they were kind of confused into what they were trying to get into, and they looked like just confused at times, and their offense was slow getting into stuff. And I think without those extra transition possessions, that really messed them up because that gives them life, that gives them fire. I mean, you saw the J-Dub, the Jalen Williams, like, put back dunk in transition. That's the stuff that really fires them up and gets them going. And when they don't have that, it's a slog, man. And guess who can win a slog game? Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Dallas Mavericks.
Yep. Yeah, the Mavericks mucked it up big times in that. I mean, the Thunder scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, 27 in the third quarter. So 50 or whatever. I'm not doing the math. 48 points in the second half. I mean, that's great for an offense that's been very good. For an offense that's been very good all season long. Like you said, they made everything difficult. Like, even their threes were like, there was a closeout. It wasn't like they were shooting wide open threes. There was a closeout and a contest. And you mentioned the 10 turnovers. They also had 30 assists on 42 made field goals. Like, the ball was hopping tonight.
Oh,
do you think that seems low?
No.
I was about to say 30 assists is like, that's a great number to have.
No,
that feels like
30 assists is great. You're right.
Yeah, 30 is like, especially for what we're used to with the Mavs team, where it's like Luka will have 13 assists, and then you look at it, it's like, oh, they had 16 assists as a team. So there was just like 3 random assists thrown in there from somebody else. But I thought everybody just did a great job moving the ball around. The Mavericks looked great tonight. They really did. And I want to say one thing, 48% from 3. Obviously, they're not going to shoot 48% from 3 every game. We already know that because they barely shoot above 30% from 3 usually in any game. But this is what the Thunder's defense is, though. Like, they want you to shoot.
They're giving them up.
They're daring you to shoot corner threes for the average to below average shooters. So they are prone to games like these. Like, they're going to be in the playoffs whenever the teams start getting better.
Yeah, they absolutely were. And the Mavs, they took 20% of their shots from corner 3. The Thunder allowed the most corner threes by percentage in the regular season. It was like 13.8%. Mavs shot 20% of their shots from corner 3. They're giving up that shot. So the Mavs, if you'll give it to them, it felt like there were times in this game, especially in the first half, where I think I tweeted that this felt like the Mavs of October through January, where it's like we just have to hit more threes than the other team. You just got to outshoot the other team. And then they mucked it up in the second half and played more of their Mavericks game in that half. And so I thought that was great that the Mavs played both styles that they had played, right? They played the style from the beginning of the season in the first half, and they played the style from the second half of the season in the second half, which was absolutely great. Daniel Gafford in this game, 13 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, a block, a steal. Did you see him be a little more aggressive in this game? Did you see him finish at the rim a little stronger?
I don't know who Daniel Gafford is. I know who Daniel Gaffney is.
Is that I kept seeing people tweet that. Is that what they were saying on the broadcast?
The first couple plays, he was like, and Gaffney's going to the free throw line. And at first I was like, oh, he must have like misspoke. But he was calling him Gaffney for a solid like 6 minutes. And I'm like, Gaffney. But anyways,
Gaffney.
Yeah, I thought Gafford was pretty solid in this game. Thought he had a stronger game 1, but I thought he was solid in this game. Lively is a little concerning. Now it's interesting that Lively had the best plus minus on the team. I don't know how much you want to read into that necessarily.
I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know what to make of that either. I think you can make some things defensively because I feel like he's, for how much the Thunder move around and how much switching is going to be a factor in this series, just because of how much motion the Thunder have. A guy like Lively actually makes a lot of sense because he's just so mobile on the perimeter. And he's actually very good at holding his own on the perimeter against guys. And we saw like Shea and J-Dub try to isolate him over and over and over again. It just felt like it didn't work really. But it's funny. You could see the coaching adjustments that they wanted to do. When a shooter caught the ball, they shot. Like PJ Washington shot 11 times, Josh Green 5 times. Like when you got the ball in the corner, you're shooting Derek Jones Jr. 1 of 5, but 5 attempts. Like,
but he was taking them. It took contested ones too.
Yeah, shoot the ball when you get in the corner. We have to make them pay. And then also the bigs go up. And I thought Lively, maybe it was a little too like they were probably like turn your brain off and just go up. And Lively was like, all right, I'm turning my brain off.
Okay,
that's what it felt like. Yeah, that's what it felt like. And Gafford, Gafford was good. He hit some big free throws down the stretch. So
Chet only had 2 blocks. That's really surprising to me. I thought for sure he had more than 2 in this game, but
I mean, he's a great rim deterrence. Like you can just feel it when he's out there.
He's very good. I mean, he's very good, and he's a rookie too. This, the same thing you do with Wemby. Like this is the worst he's ever going to be. This Thunder team is very talented. I mean,
they are.
Can we talk about Giddey? Giddey didn't play at all. Second half, basically.
Giddey was out there for I think 30 seconds, and then he turned the ball over, and Dagnall took a timeout. He's like, "Get his ass off the court.
Get the hell off here." Like, go
minus 20.
He's a minus 20. That is wild.
In 11 minutes.
Well, so this is the thing. The Thunder's inexperience, and where the Thunder's inexperience will come up is if the Mavericks all of a sudden take some stuff away from them. Okay, take away Giddey, takes away some of the fast break stuff because he's not there to throw the hit-ahead passes or to run in fast break and have the other guys streaking on either side and all that. So you remove that, you move in Aaron Wiggins, and so then all of a sudden it changes what their team is. And now you hit him in the mouth, and now you get to see how they respond to it, right? And series are long; they could come back and win games, but you see how they respond after this. And so I think that's just what the inexperience will show in those ways, and it kind of did in this game because I thought late in the game you could just tell their offense was just not this. It was not humming the same way that it was in game 1 when they were hitting all those threes and they got the free throws in the second quarter and they were like everything was going right for them.
Well, this is where the adjustments are going to get interesting because Giddey, I don't even know. Like Giddey almost cannot play another minute in the series. It's that bad because it falls right into what the Mavericks want you to do. They're going to help off of him, and everything is just going to be compacted. And the Mavericks, they have those long defenders, so like it's genuinely very hard to attack the rim whenever Giddey's out there because there's just so much size around the paint. So you take him out. Okay, now you have Isaiah Joe out there. He's smaller, right? He's a smaller player. You have Aaron Wiggins out there. He's smaller. You have Casey Wallace out there. He's smaller. And the Mavericks were attacking that with PJ Washington post-ups, getting Luka the ball in the post. Like they were going at that. And that's where the Mavs size is going to play such a big part in the series. There was moments in this game where Jay Will and Chet were sharing the floor together.
I was just about
and
to say this.
I think I saw somewhere on Twitter that only happened like 90 total minutes in the regular season.
NBA.com did not have matchup data for it, which means it is a small enough sample size that they would not even put it on their site. So we had not seen that very often, and they're going to a bigger lineup. So now they're trying something new that they barely have run ever before, and that's young teams don't deal with that well.
That's where Giddey not being a factor at all plays in because now you have to match the size. But it's like you do not have the personnel to do it. Like you just don't. So the Mavericks have to assert their dominance there. Like that's the whole entire series right there. If you can attack that and take advantage of it, then you'll win the series. If you can't, then you won't.
Yeah, they had that adjustment, and then they had like the Giddey adjustment. And so we'll see what adjustments they make in going into Game 3. There you go, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Peace out.
See you guys Saturday.
Boom.
I'll be in the building Saturday. Game 3, American Airlines Center. Section 1. You probably can't get down to